My name is Anissa Al-Hassan, inshallah. I was born in Memphis, Tennessee. I came out here when I was 5 years old to stay with my father, me and my sister. My stepmother raised me. She adopted me and my sister, and she raised us as we was her own, inshallah. They were Christian. My mother was a Christian. I used to go to church every Saturday and Sunday, all during the week. My belief was straight in God as I was a young person. But I liked going to church because it was all about God and something doing right. But I read the story in the Bible about Abraham, how he believed and he was one, and how his father had did things to him. So I kind of kept a strength and followed in his faith, and that's what kept me in. Inshallah, all my family are Christians. I have maybe one cousin who's a Muslim. As I converted into Islam, I met a brother who brought me into Islam when I was about 23 years old. He was a believer in Allah. He just wasn't practicing. So my first step was the Nation of Islam. And as I was going to their services classes, one day they told us we had to write a letter. And we had to write a letter to Allah in Chicago to get our names. And I'm like, if Allah is in Chicago, then I'm fixing to go to Chicago. So I left the Nation of Islam. Then I went to Sunni Islam, inshallah. We went to Sunni masjids and was uncomfortable there because they didn't treat us right. Like I said, my husband, I didn't know anything about Islam until I met him. That's how I came into Islam. When I got married, he was teaching me about Allah, and I believed already because I believed in God. And when he was telling me about the things about Allah and the things that we have to do, I accepted it. And we went to the masjid, and he told me I had to cover, so I did cover. I covered just for him at that time because I was learning. And so we got married at the masjid in Long Beach under Islam. And then we had our first son, which was Ali. I had a son by him, inshallah. But after that, that's how we proceeded on to Sunni Islam. And then I continued to learn. And like I said, I got so uncomfortable because the foreigners was so disrespectful that I stopped going to the masjid. I told him to go and learn and come back and teach me. So he stopped going. They wouldn't give me salams, or they wouldn't talk to me. Only if maybe one or two people talked to me. I would sit there by myself, so I wasn't learning anything. So basically, that's, they wouldn't talk. They look at you all crazy, and it was just all kinds of stuff that I wasn't comfortable with, inshallah. So that's why I didn't go back to the masjid. So I basically studied at home. And then when I came, I haven't came to Shia Islam yet. I decided one day when we separated, me and my husband separated, I decided to move back to LA. There was a brother that I wanted to get in contact with when I came back to LA that I met when I was a child, when I was 16 years old. He was very interesting to me. So I moved back to LA to look for him. And in the meantime, that's when I ran into the Moors. The Moors taught me Shia Islam. I ran into them, and basically it was a brother that was in the Moor that I had taught when he was little and from Long Beach, and he had seen me, and so he brought me into the Moors, and so what they taught me about the Ahlul Bayt. And ever since then, I've been a Shia. And I have never took Shahada, by the way, until I met the Moors, and that was in 1993. I was making salat, praying, never knew about Shahada. taking Shahada. That's how much I didn't know about Islam because of the Sunni. They didn't tell me that. So anyway, inshallah, I got Shahada from the Moors, alhamdulillah. Well, it was the stories. Well, I always read the Quran anyway. So I believed in the Quran from, when my husband, when he brought me into Islam. But when they taught me about the alphabet and the stories about Imam Hussein, like Islam, about the Prophet, about what he knew was going to happen to his family, and that's what turned me even more. Because that's kind of relationship to our ancestors, our history, how we've been killed and hanged and our heads chopped off. I have family that was, killed in slavery. Like right now, my mother, she lives on a plantation right now in Mississippi, So I had experience in knowing this. So when they told me the stories, I just cried, I said, that's just like us, I couldn't believe it, and this been hidden from me. This demon, this Islam, and about the author debate, the family of the Prophet. The story of Karbala, basically, because when they was talking about how Imam Hussein, when he was got ready to leave, and he was going straight there to his martyrdom. I mean, that right there. That's interesting, because who would go to some place and die? It's hard, inshallah. And then he killed his family, the children. That's horrifying. So that inspired me. I don't know what more to say, but inshallah, what more I can say, but like I said, it reminds us of our stories, our history, of the things that happened to us in this country, and it's still happening, inshallah. So, and then Fatima, alayhi salam, her story, how she had a baby, and after she had the baby, she went straight to Salat. Oh my God, most women can't do that right now, inshallah, because they have menses, or a lot of things, inshallah. But anyway, that's how I accepted it, and do it, Kisa. They used to recite that all the time, the story of the blanket. I love that story, inshallah, and that just keep me going. And I like the way they make salat, prayer, because when I was making salat, with the way the Sunni made, I couldn't make that salat because it wasn't expiring. I didn't feel anything. So when I got with the Moors, inshallah, were taught by Sheikh Hamza. Those were his students, alhamdulillah. And as I make the salat and the prayers, I feel the prayers. I feel the doers. I feel them, and it's a blessing, inshallah. And I've seen miracles. I've seen things happen, inshallah, alhamdulillah. Anyway, as I go further into learning with the Moors, at that time when they met me, I was raising my sons, my nieces, my nephews, and other children in the neighborhood. So I had like 16 children in my house at that time. So what they did was help me teach them and train them children and teach them Islam. So majority of my nieces and nephews have Shahada, alhamdulillah. And so later on, like I said, when I moved back to LA, the person that I was looking for, I didn't know was going to be Sheikh Hamza. He was the person that I met when I was 16 years old. And so at that time, he had heard of me over on Florence and Normandy teaching students. So he was trying to find me. So Allah made it where I met him through one of the sisters. And she told me that there was this brother who has 2 wives already. And he can help you with those brothers, the sisters and brothers over there. But that's if you accept him with his 2 wives and he's poor. I said, all I need is that brother to teach these sisters and brothers over here and help me with my children. And I have no problem. It's just about Islam. And so that's how we met. And so we brought both our Jamaats together as one. And so we had Juma at our house. We kept serving Allah. We was doing Dura Carmel and everything that I had, I put into Islam, inshallah, for them. And so we tried to go to the masjid, in Watts. And so because of my house got too full, and we couldn't, load everybody there. And so as we went over there, we started practicing the deen, started doing the things that we're supposed to do for the alphabet, and we got locked out. So most of my students are now grown, and they have children. So they all scattered out right now, all students, inshallah, Jamaat. So inshallah, right now, I feel this is a blessing from Allah. Allah's answering right now for us because we need help. We here oppressed over here. The Shias, the real believers in Islam and the Ahlul Bayt. We all oppressed, inshallah. Because we don't have no funding. Most of us are homeless. They're being oppressed by the police because most of the young brothers, the brothers that became Shias, I don't know if you remember or not when we had the riot on Florence and Normandy, the last riot, well, all those brothers are Shias now. And inshallah, some of them have returned to Allah already. But we're being oppressed by the police in the neighborhoods. We don't have a masjid. We really don't have a masjid. We need a masjid here in South Central. A masjid, a school, housing, and so we can develop jobs and stuff for us in our community because we don't have that. And we steady struggling, us as the Ahlul Bayt. No, slavery has not gone away. We are oppressed here in this world. We're still enslaved, and not because we're not conscious of it. They still have us enslaved. Because by the police coming around and still attacking the African Americans, that's still the laws of the past, slavery, We are oppressed here, like I said. The things that they're doing to us in our neighborhoods, like you didn't know, brother, but last week my house was, search and seize. Because I have not just sisters here, I have a brother here who's on parole, and he has a thing on his leg. And so they came and did a search and seizure while I was gone out of town. But that was the first time we did that. But they just picked on him at that time because they wanted to, because he didn't do anything, they didn't find anything, then they took him to jail. It was a past case. Why would you do that? And that's the type of thing that we're being oppressed. They're trying to do right, and they still come out and arrest you and torture you and do the things that they're doing. Myself, what I do in the community, I'm on I'm retired from work disability. So my whole income that I use, which I know it's a blessing from Allah, goes 7 times because I feed everybody in the community that I can, the homeless and those who are in need. Now there are sisters and brothers who are homeless in this community. So I try to house them in my house. You see how little my house is. I only have a 1-bedroom. Each room, someone living in, even my garage, there's someone living in my garage. So when they move out, there's someone always coming in, inshallah. I house Christians here as well, didn't want to leave, but I couldn't let them continue to stay because they were Christian and they didn't want to serve Allah. So we got into some conflict sometime, but I was humble enough to let them stay here. And I tried to take them to Christians who would help them, inshallah. But what I do in the community, I do a lot of work. I work 7 days a week for Allah. All I do is pray that I continue to do work for Allah. And like I said, we have Muslim sisters and brothers who need housing. And for a while, I didn't have a stove. There was a Christian man that I met. He said, you don't have a stove? He gave me the stove just like that. Muslims knew I didn't have one. I didn't have a stove for 5 years, inshallah. But alhamdulillah, it was a blessing that this Christian man had donated the stove. I was a blessing for the cause of Allah. And I want to get to heaven, inshallah. I do not want to go to hell. And I love Allah, and I love the Ahlul Bayt, and I love my people. I know what they're going through. I know that they're not conscious, what's happening to them. And some Muslims not either. A lot of Muslims not conscious either. So I try to help them as well, inshallah. Those who are spending money on MASH, yes, should be spending money on the cause for us, for the oppression that we are going through, for schooling and housing for us that we need here in this country, and jobs. We need jobs, inshallah. But, I love masjid. We need masjids, but we got so many already, I'm talking about building one in South Central LA, but it would have a school, housing, and jobs. But all these masjids don't have that. And we need that here in our community, especially in the Shia African American community. If we get those things here with the real believers, we can help other countries that what they're going through, inshallah. Also, the coons that are being collected here in this country, that have been sent over to the other countries, we are the press here. And I believe that those coons should be given to us here in America for the Shias here in America who are oppressed here, inshallah. We started a program, Ikhlas, in Masjid Rasul. We started a program there, inshallah. And it was for the prisoners who come out of prison, because we don't have a place for our Shia prison, Muslim men and women, when they come out of prison, there's no place for them to go. They have to go to a Christian facility to practice their deed, and it's hard on them. And so we started a program called Ikhlas. And so when we tried to get this program out together, eventually people who tried to stop the Ikhlas, which they did, they didn't do the things they were supposed to do, like file the taxes on it or donate money. And people stole money from the money that was donated, and it didn't get accomplished like what we were supposed to do. Sister Salima is sister that you interviewed earlier at the masjid. She gave birth to 11 children, inshallah. I took her into my home, over 15 years ago, before she had 11 children. And she had 3 girls that came into my home, and I taught her Islam, gave her Shahada, her and her daughters, inshallah. Housed them and fed them, inshallah. So now she moved on, and she accepted Shia Ahlul Bayt, inshallah. Sister Fatima, sister sitting next to me right now. I took her out of the community that she was in. Her family are drug infested, on crack, cocaine, things like that, inshallah. And her father right now is on the street. So she's staying with me now. I had her since she was 16 years old, inshallah, and taught her Islam, taught her how to pray, inshallah, and married her to my son, one of my sons, Ali, who was 14. They was married, he got married at the age of 14 to her in a nikah, and they've been married for over 20 years, inshallah. So I also helped different other sisters like Shahada, who's she's a mental patient. SubhanAllah. She came in, I helped her in my home. She has 4 children, and I had her to stay here with me as well, and I fed her and taught her Islam, but she didn't accept the Ahlul Bayt, inshallah. But she does accept Islam, inshallah. Some people that I have taught couldn't accept the Ahlul Bayt, inshallah. They didn't understand. Their mind wasn't just conscious enough, inshallah. Inshallah, we were feeding the homeless at the masjid once a week, inshallah. And we had to stop feeding because we couldn't afford the funds anymore, because I couldn't support and Brother Mir couldn't continue to provide. And we tried to get money from the community and from, the imam, the sheikhs and stuff, but they didn't fund us for our program, inshallah. So right now, I still do community work once a month. We feed the elderly at the Metro Center, inshallah. We do that still once a month, and that's a program through Sister Wajiha, inshallah. And I also still do teaching. I teach a lot of people in the community in my house. I still, in this neighborhood, all my neighbors they're not Muslim, but they respect my Islam, and they respect us here, inshallah. This neighborhood is nothing but gang infested. But because of my prayers and du'as and my kindness to the neighborhood, it had changed a lot of people in this neighborhood. So like I say, they respect us. Anything that happens, they come over and they let us know, or they watch my house, they watch my cars. They do all these things, and they give us the respect that we need, and that's a blessing. The homeless people that got the food, they was very grateful for getting the food that we cooked at the masjid. Matter of fact, they were always there. Sometimes they'll come there on Thursday. We're not there, asking where the food is, because they love the food, they love the cooking, because people in the neighborhood, they tell us that we thank you guys for doing this, because everybody's not doing that in the neighborhood, and they're grateful and they love the food that we give them, inshallah. So like I say, they come over, and when we feed them, they come over and take out the trash. They come over and help. If we need any help over there, they come and help. And they give us salams. You know, I can walk down the street and a homeless person would say, Assalamu alaikum. You know, alhamdulillah. That's a blessing. You know, and he'd be down on his knees or whatever, and he'll look up and say, sister, assalamu alaikum. And it'll shock me. I was like, alhamdulillah. You know, that's a blessing. You know, so I know our work is being in vain, but the thing is, we just don't have the money. We need funds, you know, and we can't get funds because nobody's not giving it to us, even in our own community, because they don't want us to flourish and proceed in what we're really supposed to do for Islam. So we got people stopping us, tyrants, you know, inshallah. So if you can help us, we appreciate it, inshallah.